Paris, the very name conjures up images of romance, art, and a timeless elegance that seems to transcend the passage of time. The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the Champs, these icons are etched in our collective consciousness. But what if the city we admire had turned out vastly different? What if instead of the charming streets of Montmartre or the romantic banks of the Seine, we had towering glass and steel structures dominating the skyline? Welcome to the extraordinary story of the almost modern Paris. Our tale begins in the early 20th century, at a time when Paris was grappling with the challenges of rapid urbanization. By the 1920s, the city's population had swelled to nearly 5 million people, straining its infrastructure and housing supply. The congested streets echoed with the cacophony of noise, while the air was thick with pollution, casting a shadow over the quality of life for Parisians. It was amidst this urban chaos that a young architect named Le Corbusier stepped forward with a radical proposal. Born Charles-Édouard Jeanneret, but better known by his pseudonym Le Corbusier, he was a visionary who straddled the worlds of art and engineering. Le Corbusier, meaning the Bohemians in French, was not just a name, it was a statement of intent. He dreamed of a new kind of architecture, one that was stripped of ornament and embraced the raw power of modern materials like concrete and steel. And now he was applying this philosophy to the heart of Paris. In 1922, he unveiled his first plan for the city, a radical restructuring that would transform Paris into what he called a contemporary city, a concept he illustrated in paintings and scale models. These designs showcased a startling departure from the historical Paris, envisioning the city as a series of distinct zones divided by towering glass and steel skyscrapers raised on concrete stilts. This design not only aimed to address the pressing issues of housing and transportation, but also sought to change the very fabric of Parisian life. The elevated towers would allow sunlight to filter down between them, illuminating the streets below and creating what he believed was a healthier living environment. At street level, Le Corbusier envisioned an organized grid of roadways where different types of traffic would be neatly separated. Heavy industrial flows would travel below ground, while the movement of ordinary goods and services would take place on the surface. Above this, a network of elevated highways would allow for the swift movement of fast-moving vehicles. All these traffic patterns would be channeled into a central hub, a grand concourse that would serve as the beating heart of this new metropolis. It was here that the various modes of transportation would converge, setting the rhythm of the city and dictating the pace of daily life. But perhaps the most striking feature of Le Corbusier's plan was the emphasis on green spaces. Amidst the colossal towers, he imagined extensive parks and gardens that would not only provide relief from the city's heat, but also offer a carefully curated balance between the concrete jungle and the natural world. To Le Corbusier, this plan was more than just urban design. It was a complete social reorganization. Architecture, he believed, should not just shape our physical environment, but should dictate the very rhythm of our lives. His plan for Paris was a bold experiment, an attempt to reshape the city according to the principles of functionality and efficiency, all guided by the belief that order and hierarchy could bring about a new era of urban living. The initial reaction to his plan was a mixture of intrigue and skepticism. Many saw in his designs a glimpse of the future, a possible solution to the city's pressing problems. Yet others criticized it as an unrealistic and even sinister vision, one that threatened to obliterate the historical character of Paris. However, Le Corbusier was not deterred by the naysayers. With unwavering determination, he continued to refine and promote his concept. And then came the Exposition Internationale des Arts et Techniques in the 1930s, a world's fair that Paris had been preparing for years. For Le Corbusier, this was his big chance. He convinced the fair's organizers to let him design one of the main exhibition buildings, the centerpiece of which was a massive glass and steel structure that embodied his design philosophy. This building, along with several others that he designed for the fair, became some of the most important examples of modernist architecture ever built. They attracted international attention and put Le Corbusier firmly on the world stage. His star was rising, but the ascent was not without controversy. As the fair approached, critics began to voice their concerns. The starkness of his modern buildings, they argued, clashed with the historical context of Paris. The very idea of introducing such radical elements into the heart of the city seemed audacious, even reckless. But as the crowds flocked to the expo and marveled at the sleek lines and innovative use of materials, the skeptics began to soften. There was something undeniably appealing about Le Corbusier's vision, a promise of modernity and efficiency that resonated with many Parisians. With the support of influential figures in the city, including Paul, the former Prime Minister, and now Minister of Posts, Telegraph and Telephone, Le Corbusier found himself at the center of a debate that would shape the future of Paris. And so in 1933, Le Corbusier submitted a revised plan to the city authorities. This was not just an architectural proposal, it was a bid to transform Paris into the showcase of modern urban living. As the plan made its way through the bureaucratic machinery of the city, it faced scrutiny and debate. The conservative voices argued that Le Corbusier's vision was too radical, that it threatened to destroy the historical fabric of Paris. On the other side were those who saw in his plan a much-needed solution to the city's problems. They argued that congestion, pollution, and overcrowding were not just inconveniences, but serious threats to the health and well-being of Parisians. Caught in the middle was the city's leadership. They understood the urgency of addressing the city's problems, but were wary of the radical solutions being proposed. The debate intensified, dividing the city and capturing the attention of the nation. Newspapers ran front-page stories, public meetings were held, and passionate arguments filled the airwaves. It was a battle between tradition and progress, between the past and the future. As the debate raged, Le Corbusier redoubled his efforts. He produced detailed plans, elegant renderings, and even orchestrated a dramatic presentation at the city's town hall. But despite his best efforts, opposition to his plan remained strong. Many of Paris's residents feared that their beloved city was being taken away from them, replaced by something cold, impersonal, and alien. And their fears were not entirely unfounded. There was something unsettling about Le Corbusier's plan, a sense that, in its pursuit of efficiency and order, it might obliterate the very soul of Paris. As the controversy peaked, the city's leaders finally made their decision. Le Corbusier's plan was rejected, and the status quo was maintained. Paris would continue to be the city of lights, but it would not embrace the harsh glare of modernism. And so the city escaped what might have been a drastic and controversial makeover. Yet the story does not end there. Although Le Corbusier's plan was rejected, his ideas did not go away. They echoed in the minds of architects and urban planners, influencing generations to come. In fact, elements of his design can still be seen in cities around the world, from the towering skyscrapers of New York to the futuristic highways of Dubai. Moreover, Le Corbusier's legacy extends far beyond his built works. He was a prolific writer, and his ideas on architecture and urban planning have been studied and debated for decades. His books, including The City of Tomorrow and Towards a New Architecture, laid out his theories and inspired a global movement towards modernist design. Today, as we wander through the historic streets of Paris, it is essential to remember the near miss that shaped the city's fate. The narrow streets of Montmartre, the elegant boulevards, and the iconic landmarks we cherish today could have been radically altered. Instead of the towering glass and steel structures envisioned by Le Corbusier, we have the charming buildings that give Paris its unique character. Yet in the heart of the city, there are reminders of Le Corbusier's influence. The De Habitation, a massive housing complex he designed in the 1950s, stands as a testament to his ideas on urban living. It is a stark contrast to the surrounding cityscape, a symbol of the city's decision to reject his radical vision. The story of the almost modern Paris is one of what could have been, a reminder of the fragility of our urban heritage. It underscores the constant struggle between progress and tradition, between the allure of the modern and the importance of preserving our cultural roots. Had Le Corbusier's plan been accepted, Paris might have become a shining example of modernist urban planning, but it would have come at a great cost. The city's soul, its unique character, and its historical continuity would have been irrevocably altered. As we look back, we can appreciate the wisdom of the decision made in 1934. It ensured that Paris would remain Paris, a city where history is not erased but cherished, where tradition and modernity coexist, and where the romance of yesterday intertwines with the promise of tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more content on the channel.